What's going on, guys? Dare here with Fantasy Football Advice, coming at you with another fantasy football video. Today, we're doing a mock draft on ESPN. I know I haven't done any of these ESPN drafts in, geez, at least all off season. I don't even remember the last time I did one last season, but as you get closer to your draft, it's very important that you do a mock draft based on the ADP of the system you're going to play on, because that is when you're drafting what is going to be recommended for you and your opponents to draft. So the ADP does have a big impact on when players are being taken, or the suggested ADP, I should say. So each system, you're going to have players ranked differently. You're going to have better values in different formats and platforms. And I haven't done ESPN yet, so I didn't even really take too much of a peek at it. So this is going to be pretty raw. I do know players like, just by looking real quick, Damian Williams, he's ranked pretty low. Let's see here. Sammy Watkins is ranked a little too high. Marlon Mack, he looks like he could be a deal. I know with the Andrew Luck news, I'm not sure, how good of a deal exactly he will be, because he wasn't very good without Luck. Let's see what else I can see here. David Montgomery at 60 overall, that's a steal. I'm going to be targeting him for sure. Duke Johnson's a little high, but this is PPR scoring settings. I'm in the 10th spot, by the way. So the 10th spot, typically in Sleeper or Fantasy Football Calculator, you go wide receiver, unless someone like Nick Chubb falls to you. So let's see. Speaking of Nick Chubb, wow, you could easily get him. He's a back of the second round pick. So I could see, somebody who took either Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, or Alvin Kamara first overall still has a chance to get Nick Chubb in the back of the second round. Wow, that would be an incredible start to your draft. I'm just going to really quickly glance through here, see if I see any other incredible values. Matt Ryan being ranked ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Wow, that's pretty surprising. I'm not high on Aaron Rodgers. I might be the lowest on Aaron Rodgers, in our small group, because he really wasn't that good last year on a per game basis. I'm not saying he doesn't have an opportunity to improve this year. I just would rather get a quarterback that has more rushing upside, that like someone like Deshaun Watson, for a similar price. Corey Davis ranked a little too high. Jamison Crowder ranked 92nd overall. Is there something I'm missing here? Jamison Crowder. I wonder who's going to take him. That would ahead of Curtis Samuel. Wow, ESPN. You really outdid yourself with that one. Oh, and way ahead of Dante Pettis. This is silly. I can't believe people are actually drafting with this ADP. No offense. But typically I feel like they're a little sharper by this point. But we'll see. We'll see how my draft comes out. I mean, if I don't get any good values here, I think I'm doing something wrong. But how's everybody else's drafts going? I know right now is the time where everybody is either already drafted, excuse me, or they're drafting this upcoming weekend. I have one on Wednesday. I have another one coming up again tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited. I have a few guys I'm targeting in almost every league. Kerryon Johnson's the guy I really want to get some shares of. I really think DJ Moore has an opportunity to take the next step this year. OJ Howard. Let's see. I'm just going to go position by position. That might be a little easier. So, let's see. David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty surprised Todd Gurley isn't ranked very highly here. I'm not saying 14th overall isn't very high, but I would think ESPN would have him still ranked up with, the best of them, right behind someone like Zeke. So let's see here. Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones at 34, that's a pretty good value as well. I think the winner, though, of the value contest is going to be David Montgomery as the 60th player overall. Wow. If you get that deal at that ADP, you're killing it. Miles Sanders at 80. Okay, so these are two guys I'm definitely going to try to get on my team. Hopefully Daryl Henderson 103. Hopefully, you know, the opponents I'm in this draft with are none the wiser. Tony Pollard 173, another guy I'm almost guaranteed to snag. Let's see here. Damian Harris. Okay, so Damian Harris, Daryl Henderson, David Montgomery, and Miles Sanders should almost assuredly be on my team if all else fails. My picks up next. Let's see who's available at wide receiver. Could get Julio at 10. I'm not opposed to getting a wide receiver or a running back. Le'Veon Bell. I don't mind getting Julio Jones first, and then possibly Nick Chubb second. I would be very happy with that. Or I could get Le'Veon Bell second too. I have a feeling if I don't get Le'Veon Bell now, I won't be able to get him. But I'm very happy with Nick Chubb anyway. I do want to get Julio Jones here. So Julio over Le'Veon for me. And then let's see here. Nick Chubb, I'm almost guaranteed to get him. He's ranked outside the top 20 based on this ADP. So I would pretty much assume that nobody would take him before the 15th overall pick, which is where I'm going to be drafting. So I think it's safe to say I could start off Julio Jones, Nick Chubb. That would be a great start for me in my opinion. Okay, so if Devontae Adams went to Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham. Okay, we're having a wide receiver run here. Let me just make sure you guys can see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit too so you guys can, just in case the quality, sometimes it comes out not so great when the upload process happens on YouTube. So we're just going to zoom in a little bit for you guys. Hopefully that helps. Didn't help too much. Let's see. One less. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, not bad. Okay. Oh, I'm on the clock. Let's see. Okay, so Nick Chubb or better. Could get Todd Gurley, Joe Mixon. I think I'm gonna get Nick Chubb over Joe Mixon. I'm very impressed with this offense. I'm very impressed with Nick Chubb and his rushing ability. I think he's going to get more work in the receiving game for sure, assuredly. Kareem Hunt coming later in the season, not too much of a concern with me anymore. Initially, I had overvalued that factor. But, I mean, if the guy's not coming to play until Week 10, I missed my last pick. I auto-drafted Chris Godwin. I definitely would have taken a receiver like, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. Both of those players were available. I definitely got the short end of the stick on that one. But Chris Godwin, for a fourth-round pick, is not, the worst value in the world. Now, it was an early fourth-round pick, so it's not like it was a steal by any means. But at the same time, I definitely would have taken several players over him, and mainly David Montgomery. But I do actually believe David Montgomery was taken ahead of him. So let's see. Yes, so David Montgomery was projected to be the 60th player off the board. He actually got drafted as the 48th. No, he got drafted as the 46th player off the board. So that just goes to show you that even though the ADP is ranked inaccurately, David Montgomery should easily be in the top 36 players, and he was being ranked outside of the top 50. Now, you would think, okay, I could get him with my next pick, the 48th pick. Maybe you don't want to wait that long. Maybe it's better to, not roll the dice and let fate decide and just take him early, because somebody like this gentleman here, Team Lay, is also keen to the value and took him at 48, which is still 12 spots ahead of his ADP on ESPN, but realistically, it's already about, 18 or so picks a value of where he should actually be going. So just make sure if you do identify these players, don't be afraid to pull the trigger extra early. Like that may seem like a bad pick to the fantasy football calculator grading system where you get an A, a B, or a C, or a D. They might give you a D on that selection because they're saying, hey, why would you draft a 5th round pick with your 4th round pick or your 3rd round pick? Technically, that's this guy's fourth round pick, actually, first pick in the 4th round. But so they might give you a D for that, but I'll give you an A++ easily. So I did think Miles Sanders here would be a good selection. Josh Gordon here would also be a good selection. Calvin Ridley. I'm not really considering any other receivers besides Calvin Ridley or Josh Gordon. I would certainly be Josh Gordon here in the 5th round. I'm looking at running backs. I think I can get Miles Sanders in the next round. I would have been interested in Alshon Jeffrey. He went right before mine. My wide receivers are starting to concern me, and it's only Chris Godwin that really doesn't sit well with me as opposed to what I would typically have gotten there, which was Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Cooks. Those were the options, all of which I would think would be better picks that would make me feel more confident, especially Julio Jones, Adam Thielen. That would have been a great place to start. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Josh Gordon. I know that's a risky pick, but at the same time, there are so many wide receivers that you can get that have value in this draft on ESPN. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 109. That's an incredible value. Let's see. I'll just keep going down the list. Trey Quinn. Curtis Samuel. He's definitely a guy I'm going to need to get on my team. Typically, I draft DJ Moore. DJ Moore is much harder to get on your roster when you have a late 1st round pick. Remember, where you are drafting between 1 through 12 does impact the players that you are able to get in the first 4 rounds pretty consistently. Because, you're not going to be able to draft Julio Jones or Odell Beckham if you have a 1st round pick. There's no way he makes it back to you to the late 2nd. And the opposite is true if you have a late 1st round pick, early 2nd round pick. You're not going to be getting players like typically Kerryon Johnson, because you're not going to reach for him that early in the 2nd round, but he's not going to fall to you in the 3rd. So you just have to be mindful of that. And DJ Moore's one of those guys that typically falls to the late 4th, early 5th, and there's better value in the early 4th, so you're not going to take him there, and he never makes it back that far to the late 5th. So my picks up, I did want to possibly draft Miles Sanders here. I think that's the best value. Austin Eckler, also a really good selection. Very interested in that pick. Latavius Murray, if I could get him after that, that would definitely make me feel good with my running backs. Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones. I do want a pass catcher. I do want upside. I think Miles Sanders is definitely the selection. My wide receivers, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Josh Gordon. OJ Howard's here too. Oof, that's a tough one. See, if I don't get Miles Sanders, I'm very happy with the next running backs. Evan Engram also here. I would be interested in him. I've not taken him in any mocks. I think I'm going to probably actually go with OJ Howard. OJ Howard seems to be the guy I'm going for, and I have to pull the trigger. I'm taking him over Evan Engram, and I understand most people wouldn't. Evan Engram is going to be potentially even the highest targeted receiver on that team. The reason I'm not doing it is because it's not anything against Evan Engram. He's very athletic tight end, one of the most athletic in the entire league. He's like a 90-plus percentile athlete. The only problem with him is he has never been an efficient receiver so far in his career. You could chop that up to Eli Manning. I would understand that. But at the same time, I've seen him play pretty badly at times. And even when he was the only healthy receiver in town, he did produce, but it was on the back of extremely high volume, and his body did not keep up. He came into training camp with a hamstring injury. He's always a little bit banged up to begin with, and I just fear for his health. And I do know that he has top 5 upside, but I haven't seen him produce, top 2 upside, even with that type of volume. I know you give 2/3 of that volume to OJ Howard, he's going to produce as, a top 3 tight end. He's already producing as a top 5 tight end on such minimal volume that it just goes to show you, if he does get an increase of volume as being part of this new offensive scheme, he's going to kill it. He's going to absolutely kill it. He was a tight end 1 last season on the back of an offense that wasn't very strong. It was very strong for the receivers, not so much for the tight ends. And it was very inconsistent when it came to the quarterback position on who is throwing to who. Jameis Winston was would target the tight ends consistently. Ryan Fitzpatrick would not target anyone besides the wide receivers. I'm pretty sure he led the league last season in percentage of targets to wide receivers. I think that's a fact, but I can't say fact because I'm not sure. I'm 99% sure that's a fact. But yeah, so I can understand that if Jameis Winston is going to be there all season, who consistently targeted the tight end. I know there's Cameron Brate. He's going to get his targets as well. But if you were telling me the percentage of targets O.J. Howard's going to get in this offense is going to increase from last season, you're also expecting him to get more integrated in the offense, that being another year in the NFL for him. I believe this is his 3rd season. And, third season's typically a breakout season. And then you're also having the increase in production that is almost assuredly going to happen by having Bruce Arians as the head coach. We've already seen it in training camp. We've already seen it in the preseason. This offense looks great. I am all on board with O.J. Howard, and I typically have to draft him in the 4th round, late 4th round, early 5th round, and to get him in the early 6th round is certainly a value. I do know Mark Andrews is also a value in this draft. He's being taken too high, but as opposed to where he's going in other formats. So I'm trying to see. I was interested in getting Miles Sanders as, a pick, but I don't think he's going to fall to me. I was interested in getting Miles Sanders. I think Tevin Coleman and Miles Sanders are being undervalued on ESPN. Oh, Nyheim Hines, we were just talking about him. Now, Nyheim Hines, I should say he should get increased production almost assuredly, but he is no way, shape, or form the 85th overall player, even in a PPR. Oof, that's a hot take right there. I think Peyton Barber is overvalued. Let's see. Where's Jordan? Jordan Howard actually isn't as overvalued as he is in other drafts. But who in their right mind would take take Jordan Howard 1 pick behind Latavius Murray, or who would take Peyton Barber ahead of Latavius Murray? Wow, you have to definitely have fallen on your head to think that's a good pick. So basically, I'm thinking if you get an A+, if they grade your draft an A+ in ESPN, you should probably head for the hills because you really screwed up your draft. Miles Sanders fallen. There's no way he falls to me. I have to have backup plan and a backup plan for the backup plan. Latavius Murray would be an excellent choice. My wide receivers are scaring me. We can't expect Josh Gordon to really put it together right away. He's more of an upside pick, and for a, let's say, early to mid pick, it's not very risk averse. Chris Godwin as well, not very risk averse. Just because he hasn't done it before. Oof, I just noticed I got Chris Godwin and O.J. Howard. I don't know how I didn't notice that. Maybe because I auto-drafted Chris Godwin, so I didn't, mentally select him, so I wasn't considering that when drafting O.J. Howard. That probably would have been enough to push me to Evan Engram, but I'm not sure. I would have to really be in the moment to know that. Because I don't like to go away from my rankings. O.J. Howard is somebody I'm extremely high on. Now, Evan Engram, I'm not higher than consensus on. If I am, it's just a little bit. So I'm not sure if that would have pushed me over the edge. But what I will say is that Robbie Anderson has to be the guy I target next, because I just need some safety and consistency at the wide receiver position, and then hopefully I can get Latavius Murray after that. That would be my ideal 7th and 8th round pick. I need to get Robbie Anderson first because Robbie Anderson is ranked much higher in the ADP. Typically, that's the order in which they're going to be drafted at. So let's see here. 74th overall. I'm going to be picking him 82nd overall. I think I can do it. Let's see. The backup plan for that is probably Curtis Samuel, who I would be taking with my 9th round pick after Latavius Murray. So ideally, in my perfect draft, I would go Robbie Anderson in the 7th, 8th round pick, Latavius Murray, 9th round pick, Curtis Samuel. How accurate that's going to be to the results, we'll see. I will think of a backup plan. I would not take Curtis Samuel as the backup plan to Robbie Anderson, simply because you can likely get Curtis Samuel later. I would probably go Sterling Shepard instead of Robbie Anderson if I don't get Robbie. So that's the backup plan. And if I don't get either of them, it's probably got to be Christian Kirk here. Although I definitely would be taking a hit on production. I do think that Christian Kirk has the upside, but I don't think he has the safety. I do think Sterling Shepard's a very safe pick. There's just not enough receivers in that offense, and they do have to move the ball. They're going to be behind in games, and that's the perfect formula for a productive receiver. This is a PPR league because there's no half-point PPR that I saw, so that being PPR, that fits perfectly into the skill set of Sterling Shepard. There's also an opportunity that he gets more outside receiving, which would also increase his production because he has been one of the lower yards per reception guys. But in fact, I don't know if you noticed, he did increase in yards per reception in each of the past 3 seasons. So it is a positive note to see improvement in that area year over year consistently. I believe he's coming into his 4th year, 2nd round talent. There's a lot to like about him, and I think he's going undervalued for sure. I do think Robbie Anderson is a much better pick, though. You know what his role in the offense is going to be, and him already being the deep threat, he's a threat to score on every play. Not only that, he did show a lot of rapport with Sam Darnold towards the end of last season. He was a top 5 wide receiver in the fantasy playoffs. So if you're telling me you can go a stretch with top 5 numbers, by all means, that means he's got that type of upside. I know Marvin Jones also has arguably that type of upside. The only difference with him is Marvin Jones can basically play Jekyll and Hyde role. Depending on what variance has to say about it, you could either get the wide receiver 12 or the wide receiver 32. And even if you get the wide receiver 12, you start him every week, you're going to regret it because, half of the weeks he's going to get, 2 for 20. And then the other half of the weeks it's going to be like 5 for 176 and 1. So, he's going to, at the end of the season, have those type of numbers, but it's not going to be anywhere in the consistency department. And that is not a player typically you want to rely on. I know right now we're not drafting him to rely on. All my starting roster is full, but having Josh Gordon, having Chris Godwin, Julio Jones has been injured at times. He definitely lost the injury-prone moniker, but if I had to start Marvin Jones, it could hurt my team. I do value consistency, but what I do like about Marvin Jones, I will say, not many players being drafted this late have the ability to produce wide receiver 1 numbers very quickly off the bat and have immense trade value. So Marvin Jones, we've seen it before. I believe 2 or 3 years ago, he came out and he posted like 5 touchdowns in the first 3 games. It was like 350 yards, and he was the wide receiver like 1 through 3. So with that, if you draft him and he has a hot start like that, you could trade him easily because he's not going to have a ridiculous increase in targets. I wouldn't expect his targets to increase whatsoever because, yes, Golden Tate's gone, but they're replacing him with Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay is the guy who's going to be the target market share leader on this team. So if he's getting replaced for targets and his targets aren't expecting to go up, he's going to need to rely on variance. And you're talking about an offense that's going to be more run heavy than it was in years before. Oh, sorry, my pick is coming up. So I could definitely see it being one of his you know, not so productive seasons as opposed to one of his high upside seasons. And even his high upside seasons are on the back of inconsistency. Okay, so basically I wanted to take Latavius Murray here. That was plan A, but I wasn't expecting Miles Sanders to fall to me this far. Oof, that sucks. Because Miles Sanders, that sucks because Miles Sanders, he's such a good value here, but Latavius Murray has such safety. I think I just have to go for Miles Sanders. I mean, you got to take the value. Best player available. So this is a good example of how you have to pivot. And I know when you set something in your head and you say you want to draft player A, then player B, then player C, but then all of a sudden player B.5 falls to player C's spot, you have to be ready to pull the trigger. I know Latavius Murray has more safety. I mean, that's almost assuredly a fact. But the problem is you have to take best player available, and Miles Sanders should not have fallen that far whatsoever. So I had to take him. Latavius Murray actually went 2 picks later, which is unfortunate. But that's okay because there are so many running back values in ESPN. Like, I could take Darrell Henderson with my next pick. Damian Harris. Where is he? Let's see. No way someone drafted him. Let's see. Yeah, Damian Harris. He is, oh my gosh, the 194th overall player. I could take him with one of my last picks. So you just have to be ready to pivot. I will say my new plan is going to be, because Curtis Samuel was drafted, it's got to be Pettis after. It's got to be Darrell Henderson first, then Pettis, or Pettis then Darrell Henderson to Damian Harris. So it's got to have to be those 3 in a row. I already got my tight end. Let's take a peek at quarterback. Drew Brees, not interested. Ben Roethlisberger, not interested. Russell Wilson, no. So yeah, not interested in any quarterbacks right now. I already got my tight end, right, wide receiver. Let's see how I'm doing with receivers. Receivers, I'm great. I'm probably gonna go with Darrell Henderson, and then let's see, because I have 2 picks within 5 picks of each other. Probably gonna go with Darrell Henderson, and it's gotta be Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Dante Pettis. It has to be Pettis. So Pettis was drafted, so I did get Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I'm fine with that. Always have a backup plan. MVS doesn't have the potential target market share of Pettis. Pettis should lead that team in targets, which is why I would definitely have him ahead. But it wasn't worth risking such a valuable running back like Darrell Henderson, because I already have I already have Anderson, Gordon, Godwin, and also Julio Jones. He has to be the pick here. I don't see any other quarterback that has the same potential upside and safety. Jameis Winston, not a bad pick. Kirk Cousins, not a bad pick. Lamar Jackson, definitely the guy. I still have a few spots left, though. I'm not interested in getting a backup tight end. O.J. Howard's going to be fine. Not interested in really any receiver in this range. I would rather have someone like, Mecole Hardman's a good one. Trey Quinn. Let's see here. Randall Cobb I wouldn't really be interested in. Devontae Parker, not really interested in him either. How many running backs do I have? I typically want to go, Jaylen Samuels. Whoa, I didn't see him way over here. That is another one that you guys have to target in every league, because Jaylen Samuels should not be falling this late. Holy cow. You should have him on every team in that case. Jaylen Samuels. I mean, I guess I might as well just go Jaylen Samuels and Tony Pollard, because those are literally the highest upside players. So there's Jaylen Samuels drafted. There's Tony Pollard. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. We really hope you enjoyed. If you did, how about you hit that like button? If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We thank you all for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.